Well, hello and welcome back once again to Me, Myself, and I, Season 4, Legacy. I am, as always, your intrepid host, GM, and player, Trevor DeVal. Thank you for joining me here. Of course, if you want to help support the channel, please do consider hitting like and subscribe and joining us on Patreon and all that good stuff. We are on what I believe will be the final episode of Season 4, where Vale has found herself in front of the Lich Montserrat, the quasi-Lich Montserrat, who has begun to cast this spell, which is opening the portal to Norcarth, which will be represented by that. She is currently immobilized by a spell that Montserrat had cast, which I'm going to use this fancy little thing here to represent that. I'm just going to put it behind them. They are immobilized, which means they can't move, but they can still take actions. Vale is currently holding both the much diminished, in fact, drained spirit mantle, her last hope of trying to put Montserrat back to sleep using the last vestiges of Sherilyn's power, but she is also holding this phylactery, this lamp, which Montserrat seemed to indicate last time was not in fact his true phylactery, but rather a false one, because as we know, Vale's entire purpose was to use the spirit mantle to try and put Montserrat back into slumber, because Sherilyn herself could not destroy Montserrat while in this world. So that's the situation. These cultists have all turned to look at Vale and Thrag. These guards, which seem to be under some sort of spell perhaps by the Lich, are slowly, almost zombie-like, moving towards her, like so, as Vale and Thrag struggle to get out of this magical hold that they're in. Vale, now knowing that she has made a dreadful mistake, turns to Thrag and says, "You were right, Thrag. You were right this entire time. I was a fool. I allowed my vain hope that I could bring Sherilyn back, to bring us to this impasse. And now, all is doomed." Thrag is mute, so he says nothing, but looks at her with some understanding as these guards are slowly getting closer and closer. Now, I had left off last episode wondering what possible tricks Vale has up her sleeve. Well, there is definitely one I can think of, but there is also something else that does occur to her in this moment. If we recall last time, Montserrat had mocked her for draining the spirit mantle and wasting its power to heal his phylactery, which of course turned out to be nothing but a fraud. But something does occur to her in this moment. Wait a minute, Thrag. This phylactery. He said it was a fake, and yet he still demanded that I bring it to him. Why? Why would he have done that? Why does he care about this thing? Meanwhile, the guards are slowly getting closer. Montserrat is still casting the spell, and slowly this magical portal begins to burn itself into the reality between worlds. It begins to open almost iris-like, this flaring blue light that obscures the stairs beyond into the palace, but instead starts to show a landscape behind it. But the landscape is very, very strange. The landscape is this sickly charcoal, almost like everything is a charcoal drawing. It's all black and white. Vale can just see out of the corner of her eye. She can see in the far distance there is just the chalky white outline suggestions of what might be colossal city walls. If this phylactery is a useless bauble, why did he ask me to bring it to him? Thrag, what if it is possible that Sherilyn's power is not yet spent? What if, instead of draining the spirit mantle of all its power, all I have done is transfer it to a different vessel? This is an excellent question for the fate chart, because it is conceivable that Sherilyn Spiritbane, master sorcerer as she was, who specialized in the destruction and the pursuit of the undead, especially very powerful undead such as Montserrat, it is conceivable that she herself had some sort of last-minute contingency plan, but we, as always, are going to let the dice decide. I am going to the fate chart. We are at Chaos Factor 7. I'm going to ask the question, is it possible that in fact the spirit mantle power still exists, even at some diminished level within this new phylactery? In the attempt to heal the Lich's phylactery, in fact the power did transfer itself over, losing some of its potency, no doubt, unless we get an extreme yes. Let's see, is there any of Sherilyn's power left in this phylactery? I'm gonna say that's unlikely. On Chaos Factor 7, gives us a 65% chance of a yes. Did some of its power transfer over? The answer is yes. It's not an extreme yes, but yes. So some of the power actually went through the spirit mantle to the phylactery, which means that there is still a chance to, if not put Mazzaroth back to sleep, to still stop him somehow. I'm not exactly sure how, but neither does Vale. And I think in this moment, in an act of pure desperation, she still can't move, she's immobilized, but she can still act, she can do something. She can do something like, say, throw this phylactery at the Lich, hoping that it does something. So, her thrown skill, it's not very good, it's only 40. I'm gonna say that Mazzaroth is actually one zone away. Now, a thrown weapon like a dagger or something like that, the range is actually 0, which means within the same zone, but she can try one zone away, but at minus 20. She's spending 3 resolve, which is plus 30 to her skill of 40, which makes it 70, but it's minus 20 because of the extra range, so 50% chance. She takes the lantern in her hand and reaches back and hurls it as hard as she can, arcing over the guards and towards the Lich Mazzaroth. Does it work? 50% chance. 42, that is a hit with 4 SLs. Not that the SLs really matter here. Mazzaroth is completely unaware of this attack. He cannot defend against it. Now, she's not actually trying to cause him damage. This is just to see what happens with the power of Sherilyn. So the lantern, the phylactery, the false phylactery, flies through the air, arching over everyone and smashing into the back of Mazzaroth's head. And I think the glass of the lantern shatters, and now the real question is, what effect does this have? Well, we know that if this was the spirit mantle at full power, it would put him to sleep. But it can't do that. At best, I think at best, it can only momentarily distract him. Perhaps breaking the spell on them, which is very good, but also, I think, pausing the opening of this portal as well, which even now is beginning, it's like halfway open. Well, you know what? I'm just gonna have to ask Fate Chart once again. I'm just gonna call that 50-50 on KS Factor 7. Does the phylactery smashing against Mazzaroth, is that enough to basically stop him momentarily and disrupt the 2 spells? Here we go, let's find out. The answer is not an extreme yes. Too bad if it was an extreme yes, but it is in fact a yes. So I think the phylactery smashes into him. He cries, not in pain as much as irritation, as his spell is disrupted. Now, the portal basically stops mid-opening as he cries out in pain and releases both Vale and Thrag to act. Now, 2 things happen at this time. I said that she also has another trick up her sleeve, and that's about to be revealed. But the first thing is that the portal begins to slowly close, very, very slowly. The second thing that happens is, I can't think of a better sign for General Bangara than this. So General Bangara, who I'm presuming is in fact good for his word and is waiting in the wings with his men to help out. I'm gonna call that likely on KS Factor 7. Is he here? 23 is not an extreme yes, but it is a yes. From the alleyways, General Bangara and his men come boiling out, howling, whipping their scimitars out, and attacking the Vizier's guards. They come boiling out of the alleyways, and there's a whole bunch of them. General Bangara himself is here. He leaps over this fountain, splashing through it to engage these guards here. So do all of these guys, and these guys go rushing in here to engage them, and all is chaos as these cultists draw their weapons, their cudgels, their knives, their short swords, their stabs, and they turn to protect their master, who is even now staggering under the blow of the shattered lamp against his head. Vale now, being free, Vale and Thrag see their opportunity, and they begin to leap towards trying to ignore the fray as much as possible, basically fighting through the enemy as best they can, because their true target is Mazzaroth. They are trying to get to him. I think Vale shouts at Thrag, "Go help Bangara! I will deal with Mazzaroth!" So Thrag peels off to engage a couple of these cultists here. Meanwhile, Vale has to make her way and basically blast her way past this cultist here in order to get towards Mazzaroth. Now, I'm not going to do a full combat with these things. I'm just going to use the quick resolution system. Essentially, she is going to roll an attack. He's going to roll a defense. If she beats him in the opposed roll, she gets what she wants. She's not trying to kill him necessarily. She's just trying to stab him a little bit, slash him, and get him on the ground so that she can blow past him. So here's the deal. She's going to roll with a skill of 80, and she's going to roll a 65. Very, very good roll. This cultist is going to defend with a skill of 60, and he fails entirely, which means that she runs up to the cultist and just stabs him right in the body, right in the stomach. He cries in pain and drops as she is able to continue on leaping up towards Mazzaroth, who is still stunned. Now, he's not completely helpless. He is just stunned as he's desperately trying to maintain control of this ritual to keep this portal open, because up above, the great conjunction is happening and the stars are whirling in the firmament and creating the perfect circumstance, the one and only circumstance for this portal to be opened. This portal will never have a chance to be opened for 1,000 years, and Mazzaroth knows this. He is so close to getting what he finally is looking to get. He's so close to getting that which was robbed from him, his opportunity for proper lichdom. And if you haven't seen the lichdom series I did that explains this, go watch it now. Vale leaps up, brandishing her rapier. She doesn't waste words. She doesn't give a clever monologue. She just sees her opportunity and she goes to drive her rapier into the back of Mazzaroth, trying to take advantage of the fact that he is unable to defend himself. She is going to roll with, oh my god, she rolls a 99, which is a critical failure now. I'm gonna combine this a little bit with a fate chart result, as a matter of fact. Yeah, so, okay, so 99. She doesn't miss. She strikes true. Her rapier drives right into his back and it comes out his front, piercing his undead heart, and she knows that her blade should have killed, certainly, a mortal man. But as we know, Mazzaroth is not mortal. He is not entirely immortal either. But what is of paramount importance in this moment is that bit of information that we have already discovered. Mazzaroth cannot be slain while in this world. And in this moment, as she withdraws her rapier with a look of horror on her face, understanding that now she's in big trouble, because not only can she not kill him in this world, but the very tool that she needed to stop him, which is the spirit mantle, has now truly been spent. The last vestiges of Sherilyn's power have shattered against his back, which have caused him to pause momentarily, but now she stands at an impasse. She realizes the very weapon that she was going to use to stop Mazzaroth is gone for good, and she cannot end him this way. But something does occur to her. As she looks at the closing portal, she realizes in this moment that if she can't kill Mazzaroth in this world, maybe she can kill him in another. Mazzaroth turns to her, fury on his desiccated features. He's gasping for air because that little part of him that is still technically alive feels the pain of that wound, even though he knows it is nowhere near a lethal blow, and he reaches out to her and he would clutch at her throat and crush her larynx if he could, but he's still being contained somewhat by the power of Sherilyn's Spiritbane, and this is the only reason why Mazzaroth cannot just snuff her out like a bug right now using his magic, because the power of the Spirit Mantle is in fact doing something. But speaking of doing something, the battle rages out here. I'm not going to worry too much about what's going on. I will just roll a single die for each side, because Bangara's men are outnumbering the enemy and are superior. I'm going to give it a +1. So basically, this is roll high to see what the general effect is. They're going to roll a 5 versus a oh, it's a tide. So men go down. They're screaming in the streets as soldiers and cultists engage in a clash of arms. Bodies are stabbed and hacked and slashed, but there's no real change in the status quo. Meanwhile, Mazzaroth teeters on the brink, looking at her with fury in his eyes. She sees her one and only opportunity. She rears back and launches herself with full force at Mazzaroth. This is going to be a might roll, which she is not very good at. Once again, she's going to spend 3 of her resolve. She is running out quickly. This is going to give her a 50% chance. Now, Mazzaroth will be able to defend, I will say, at a penalty of -20. His might is not particularly good either. But let us see. She's rolling at 50. There it is, 10. 10 is a success, not a great roll. He can defend. Now, Mazzaroth, in this state, basically I'm gonna give him a 20% chance to resist. He rolls a 67, he does not, which means she launches herself at him and goes careening into him. They both go flying backwards through this closing portal, and whoop, they arrive in a different place. Behind her, she can still see the iris of the portal closing, ringed with blue fire and power as the portal is closing and closing and closing. But around her, she sees nothing but blackness. It is though they are in a void between worlds. beyond her, she can see the outline in the distance, the chalk outlines of what looks like a charcoal drawing of a city in the distance, a colossal, gargantuan, ancient city that has no real reflection of anything in the real world, but is in fact its own unique thing here in this bizarre plane of existence they find themselves. But it is the city of Norcarth, which is Montserrat's intended destination. However, now that they are in the world of Norcarth, they are no longer in the Broken Empires, which means immediately she looks down and she can see that Montserrat, they're both on the ground, by the way. They're both sort of like wrestling and tussling a little bit. She kind of gets up and pulls her blade again, and she, as he stumbles to his feet, she can see his withered face almost begin to, the lines in the undead visage begin to smooth out a bit. It is as though real life is returning to Montserrat. Now, this may seem like a bad thing for Vale, but in fact it is a worse thing for Montserrat, because here he is going back towards life, which means he can be killed. Montserrat looks down at himself. He can see his flesh now beginning to knit together to once again take on the semblance of life, even though he knows he is still not quite there. He's still between life and death and undeath, but he is closer to true life now that he's been in many, many, many centuries, except now he's got Vale standing in front of him with a blade drawn, and she says to him, "You may not be able to be slain whilst in our world, but this is not our world," and she goes to go at him now. We're going into a proper combat now. So Montserrat is on 16. He's always on 16. He has a static initiative, but I'm going to roll for Vale. She has an initiative bonus of +9. So she's rolling 9 plus 2 is 11. Okay, so this round, Montserrat is going to go first. Now, he is still reeling from the power of Vale, which is good, but he does go first. He looks at her, again, rage and fury on his, dare I say, increasingly handsome face as he becomes closer and closer to what he was in life. But he looks at her and says, "Impudent girl, do you think you can really destroy me? I may be more vulnerable here within sight of Norcarth, but I assure you, I still retain all of my power." And he does something terrible. Well, let's see. He is going to have, let's see, I think he's going to focus on destroy magic. That would make sense. Destroy body seems like something a lich would do. So I'm just going to give him a skill in destroy of 100, but he's -20 because of the current effect. So he's still rolling on 80. I'm going to use the quick resolution rules from the bestiary to quickly resolve an NPC spellcaster here. So he's rolling on 80 to cast the spell, which is going to do damage. It's probably going to do, I think it's going to be 10 internal damage because he's got a strand of 10. That makes it, he probably got a strand of higher. But, you know, I'm going to go easy a little bit here. We're gonna say he's a strand of 10, but that still means if he gets this off, she could take 10 damage. That's a 10-point wound. Terrible. Here he goes. 27 is a success. Now, this is a direct opposed roll with her. I think this is willpower. She's rolling on 70 to oppose this. She has to completely beat him if there's no partial results in this. So she's gonna roll under 70 and hope to get higher. 66 is a critical success, which means it's 9 SLs, which beats his 2. She is able to, oh, thank goodness. She's able to resist this spell entirely. Now, there's no weave reaction here because he did succeed. And again, there's special rules for NPC spellcasters that doesn't get into all the craziness about weave reactions that a lot of PCs would have to deal with, just for ease of use. But suffice to say that his spell does work, but she is able to resist it. His eyes go wide, the greenish undead light quickly fading now in the sight of Norcarth, and he realizes now perhaps he's in much bigger trouble than he thought, because here he is no longer a quasi-lich. Here he is quickly becoming just a man with a bare, unarmored torso that she now goes to stab at. She's going to roll her attack. She launches forward, engaging him. Can't charge because she's still in the same zone. But she is going to attack him with 80. And she's going to, 69. 69, right, 69. So he has no weapon out right now. He's just got his hand, so he's going to have to do a dodge. I'm going to give him a dodge of 70. Let's see if he can dodge this with a roll of 70. 44, critical success is 7 SLs versus her 6. He dives out of the way as she goes launching past him, trying to stab him, but he sidesteps just at the last second. Meanwhile, the portal that they jumped through is slowly closing. closing. And in fact, Vale knows she's only got a few moments, a few rounds to be able to complete this before that portal seals off, leaving her potentially stranded in this strange place. Oof. Round 2, she's now going to roll initiative. This is +9. That's 18. That is before him. She recovers from that blow, spins around, and goes to stab him again. She's not going to do anything special in this case. Now, unfortunately, the zone of this area, this is all just inky blackness. So there's no rough zones, there's no obscuration, there's nothing like that. It's just a weird black box with this suggestion of a charcoal city wall far in the distance. So she can't take advantage of any interesting terrain because there really isn't any here. So she just using nothing but fury and force of will, she drives herself back at him, trying to skewer him once more, and she's gonna roll with a 63. That is a very good hit. He's gonna dodge a 70. Does he succeed? He does, with 2 SLs, which brings hers down to 4 SLs. However, she still hits, and she hits with a unmodified SL of 6, which allows her to do a combat maneuver that is 6 SLs or less. Now, she has a number of interesting things. She did hit him in the body. She could choose location. I think she just tips the blade up at the last second and drives it up underneath his, 26 is in the head. Face, so it would have struck his body, but he dodges, and she's just able to turn at the last second and gish him right underneath the chin. Blah! Bringing that blade up there, gonna do an incredible hit with this. This is gonna be 8 damage minus his 2 SLs. That's gonna be 6 damage. He has no armor, but he still has preternatural toughness of +2. 10. So he does not succumb to impairment, because the natural 10 automatically does not. So he does not get impaired by that, but he cries out in pain, as blood, for the first time in centuries, his blood begins to flow. This disconcerts him more than anything. He is locked in combat with her. He's gonna try and cast another spell. This time he goes to grab her and puts his hand on her to try and drain her life force to replenish his own. I'm gonna call this one Change Spirit, because he's changing the quality of her very spiritual essence, of her life force, and draining it through her. His change is 90. Here we go. Does he succeed? 29. Okay, he does, but again, not a very good roll. Oh, you know what? With change, he actually has expertise 4. That's actually 4 SLs. She now has to, I think this is an endurance roll. Her endurance is only 50. Is she able to succeed? 0. Oh no, this is terrible. He hit her in the left leg, in the 0 of the left leg, which is the foot. So just as she has driven past him to try and stab him in the face, he then spins around and goes to cast a spell. He happens to just tap her on the left foot as she does so, which in fact does what he wants. Matzaroth no longer has that 6-point head wound, but she suddenly has that head wound of his transferred to her foot. She must do a wound die roll. Her toughness is +2. 9 + 2 is 11. That is over the 6, so she is not impaired by that. And round 3, now she rolls her initiative, and she's going to nope, it's going to be Matzaroth again. He laughs at her as he sees that his wounds are now gone. He is fresh as a daisy, and she is stumbling badly from that wound. He's going to control body to try and seize her with his magical grip again here. Does he do it? He does, and it is very bad. That is very difficult to beat. She has to resist. This is gonna be willpower. She's gotta get 7 SLs. This is gonna be very, almost impossible for her. She's gonna spend 2 points of resolve. She's rolling a 90. Is she gonna do it? 92? 92, no! She is suddenly stopped in her tracks, unable to move. Now this is immobilized. She can still act, but she just can't move. He very wisely keeps his distance out of rapier range as he sees that he's got her right where he wants her. At the end of her next turn, she can make another attempt, and this is going into her turn now. But he casts the spell. This is concentration, so he's concentrating on this spell, but still keeping his distance from her, and she's and he laughs at her again. It is not too late, dear girl. Walk with me through the gates of Norcarth. I will find the key to my lichdom, and then I will transform you into an unliving servant, there to be by my side for all of eternity. Completing my triumph over the broken empires, you will be at my side the whole time.
What say you? Never! I will gladly die first.
She might, actually, but that was her turn. She can't do anything. Well, that's not true. She could draw a throwing knife, which she does have a throwing knife, and throw it, but the problem is she would have to drop her rapier to throw a knife. I don't think she's going to do it. I think she's just going to try and once again beat this roll of a 75. Oh, no, didn't work. It is now time for another round, going into round 4.
If you will not join me, then you will meet the same fate as your master. You will die here in Norcarth. The last vestiges of your soul will unravel and fall into nothingness.
He is concentrating on the spell, so he can't cast another one. So that's his thing. He's just gloating. He's just gloating. But it does give her a chance once again. This is really hard. How is she possibly going to get out of this? She's got a willpower of 70. She exerts herself. She's only got 2 more points of resolve. What's she going to do? Oh, 69 is not enough. It's 6 SLs versus 7. The beginning of the next turn. She's on 19, so she goes first now. She's gonna try one more time. It's so impossible right now unless she spends her last 2 points of resolve. She has to. She's gonna spend 1. She's got 1 resolve left. Okay, she's rolling on 80. Ah! 76! She got 7 SLs versus 7 SLs, and it's tied. The SLs are tied, but 76 is higher than 75. That means she wins. She breaks free, and Matsurat's eyes go wide as he realizes, this isn't what I anticipated for. He's gonna quickly try and cast a destruction spell, a destroy body spell to cause her damage. So he's gonna roll. It's just so good. It's so bad. It's so bad. 52 is an incredible roll, and 2 is not. So there's no Weaver action again. He's incredibly powerful. He's a master of the weave here. She's gonna roll an endurance against this. Oh, 50! And her endurance is 50! That's a critical. That's 3 SL. So that's 8 versus she wins! She's able to beat him. Unbelievable. Okay, so his turn. He casts a spell. It doesn't work. Now she is free, and it comes down to initiative. Okay, Vale, this is +9 on your initiative. 9 and 10 is 19. She goes first again on round 6. She is going first. She breaks free. Your time is over, Lich. And she launches herself at him, driving the rapier home. We do hope. She is rolling at 80. 1 point of resolve left. She's going to spend it. Nope, she's not going to do it. She's going to roll with a 76! Unbelievable hit! That's fantastic! He tries to dodge. His dodge is 70. Pretty good. Pretty good dodge. He's got a pretty good... But it's 73! He dodges nothing! He dodges nothing! Which means she hits him at the 6, which is... The 6 is going to be the right arm. The rapier goes impaling into his right arm, specifically into the bicep, piercing his right bicep, the musculature being ripped apart by the rapier blade as it slices in. Oh my goodness, this is a huge hit. Now he got nothing, which means she does a 9-point wound to his right arm. He's got to do a wound die roll. It does have toughness +2 versus a 9-point, which is 3. No, so it's impaired now. The character drops any held item in that, but he doesn't have anything, so his right arm is impaired. That's important. He cries out again, pain. The idea of pain. It's so new to him after all this time. He is able to act though. And he goes to cast another spell. He's really gonna destroy. He's gonna try that. He cries out in pain, and with his left hand casts a spell to try and grab her and transfer his lich-like evil power, just to literally decompose the flesh on her. And he's rolling with a 26. Okay, she is going to try and resist that with an endurance roll, which she will, and she'll beat him, so she does not take that. That is awesome. His eyes again go wide with fear now. Fear, yes, fear, because he's taken a bad wound. We're now on the next round. Vale +9. She's gonna go first again, because PCs break ties, so barely. Vale looks behind her. She can see that portal is closing fast. She withdraws the blade and, sort of dances around him a little bit and then sees an opening and goes to strike. 65 is an incredible roll. He is going to try and dodge on 70. He will, but only 1 SL, so that's a reduction to 5 SLs in terms of damage, but 6 SLs for the special effect. She hit him in the body. I think she's going to hit him in the arm again. Now, why? Because the arm is already impaired. And if she impairs it again, which she very, very, very likely will, he, if he was human, would drop in shock. Now, he's not fully human, so this may not work. We'll have to see. I may have to consult the fate chart, but first, she's going to choose location, right arm, because he's got no shield to circumvent, he's got no armor to pierce. She changes the trajectory of her blade from the body to the right arm and is going to do 5 + 2 is 7 damage. Again in the bicep, she hits him in the same place. Oh, that's really bad. He has a total of 15 wounds in there. If he rolls a 10, he's not impaired. And he rolls a 4, so 6. His right arm is impaired. Again, she, like a master, targets the exact same spot she hit. He cries out in pain, and does he, in fact, drop in shock. Remember, normally a lich does not succumb to shock. You cannot take a lich down with shock, or any undead for that matter. But he is not really undead anymore. This is the place that she can actually kill him because he's been reduced to some quasi state of sort of mortality. I, however, am going to ask the fate chart. Does he drop in shock from this strike, or does the inherent undead nature of his very spirit continue to keep him up? We're on chaos factor 7. I think it's actually unlikely that he drops in shock, which gives us a 65% chance of yes. 50, he does drop in shock. Now, when you are in shock, the fight is essentially over, but he's not dead. He's lying on the ground, clutching his arm, unable to perform any actions. Vale stands over him, and she's about to drive the blade right into his throat to end this, but at that moment, I think he tries one last desperate maneuver.
Wait, Vale. If you kill me now, any chance you have at restoring Sherilyn's spirit-bane soul will be lost forever. I was telling you the truth. The last part of her soul is in me. If you slay me, if you end my life, you will be ending her existence for all time. I offer you again this choice.
As her blade is at his throat.
Come with me to Norcarth. Allow me to reclaim my lichdom, and I will reunite you with the shard of Sherilyn's spirit-bane. I can only do it once I have my full power. And what's more, I swear to you, I will not return to the Broken Empires for the time that you still draw breath. I will give you your life, and when that life is utterly spent, only then will I return. Choose, Vale, and choose wisely, for it is the very last choice you will ever get regarding Sherilyn's spirit-bane.
I believe that this is true. I believe that what he said was true. That the shard of her soul is still in him. That image of her that she saw in the oasis, in the dream, was in fact true, or at least enough of it was true to make this a viable alternative, which she must now choose. But she also has this fatal flaw, that she will do anything to bring Sherilyn back if there is a chance. I want to ask fate chart. This shard of Sherilyn's spirit-bane's spirit, does it use the last of its power to reveal itself, herself, for it is her? Does Sherilyn use the last piece of her soul to make some sort of communication in this moment to Vale? 50-50. Chaos factor 7. 0-5. Extreme yes. Extreme yes. Okay. Emerging from Motzaroth's chest is just a glimmer of bluish, silvery light that looks kind of like a hovering shard of glass. But as it emerges, it just for 1 second, it changes shape, it changes form, it changes into a humanoid form, vaguely humanoid form that looks kind of ghostly and ethereal, but the face is the face that Vale has longed to see for all this time. It is, in fact, the face of Sherilyn Spiritbane. The last part of her soul residing here emerges, using all of its power to communicate. Extreme, yes. And for just a second, Vale hears her voice, clear as a bell, in her mind, using the last of her effort, the last of her energy to communicate this to Vale. Sherilyn says,
"It is time, Vale. Let me go. Let me go."
And she smiles gently, softly. Vale looks down at Montserrat, who is still looking up at her with desperate hope. And she looks back at Sherilyn. Even now, Sherilyn Spiritbane is beginning to fade, but still has that hopeful look on her face that Vale will do the right thing. She looks at Montserrat and the fading spirit of Sherilyn right beside him, even now becoming more and more translucent. "You're right, Montserrat. Sherilyn deserves to be free at last." Montserrat looks at her with hope in his eyes that she's going to accept his offer. But at that moment, she slowly drives the point of her rapier into his throat. Oh! Blood gurgles, the last living blood of Montserrat gurgles up, and he looks at her with a look of profound confusion on his face. The quasi-lich Montserrat dies. And Sherilyn Spiritbane, the last piece of her soul, looks at Vale one last time and smiles her gentle, sad smile, and her stuff dissipates into the nothingness of this plane. For a moment, there is only silence as Vale understands what has happened here. But she doesn't have a lot of time to consider it, because behind her, that portal is even now getting smaller and smaller. It is winking out of existence. She turns to it and she sees beyond the portal that the battle with all of the cultists is largely mopped up, that Bangara's men have easily overwhelmed the cultists, and mostly because once Montserrat was pushed into this realm, the control he had over both the cultists and the Vizier's guards was broken. So most of the men out here, the fighters, just kind of suddenly stopped and like, "What are you doing? Why are you attacking us?" Instead, she sees Thrag on the other side of the portal, much in the way that Vale herself was looking at Edbert through the portal at the end of season 3. But Thrag is furiously gesturing, desperately gesturing for her to come, because he can see that the portal is closing fast. So she steps back and sheathes her rapier and takes a running leap to see if she can get through this portal before it seals off forever. My friends, she has 1 point of resolve left. She is going to roll on her athletics of 70. With a resolve, that is 80. She's going to roll to see if she can leap through the portal before it closes. 83 is a failure. As Vale is leaping, her hand outstretched for Thrag's, and Thrag sees hers, a look of profound hope and satisfaction on her face as she knows she has destroyed the Lich, and at that moment, the closing portal winks out of existence. And Vale and the portal are gone. Thrag is left alone on the street. The stunned men and cultists all standing around confusing. Most of the cultists and the Vizier's guards, like shaking the cobwebs out of their mind, coming out of this ensorcelment, not understanding what's happening here. Only Thrag and General Bangara have some concept of what just happened, but Thrag goes up to the spot where the portal was, and he falls to his knees, his axe falling to the ground beside him, and he looks and he grasps futilely at the spot where the portal was, because he knows that Vale is trapped on the other side, and he has no way to bring her back. Thrag turns to General Bangara who comes up to him, he saw this as well. The general puts a hand on Thrag's shoulder. A consoling gesture. Thrag looks at him with utter loss and confusion in his eyes. But at the same moment, Thrag, warrior that he is, steadfast companion of Vale, the assassin of the Order of the Purifying Flame, he knows that Vale knew what she was getting involved with here. That she had put her life on the line every single day since the day that she took the mission to stop Mazzaroth. And he knows that his only regret is that he couldn't have been with her at the end. Upon returning to Cyrus's portal in the desert, Thrag finds it tragically already closed. And so he must go overland back home, a journey that takes him many, many months and through many adventures, until finally, 3 months later, he arrives back on the coast of Bangara at the fortress of the Order of the Purifying Flame. Thrag stands before Cyrus, Ramona, and Alistair, the masters of the Order of the Purifying Flame. The masters there listen intently as Thrag signs his story. They all understand Thrag, and he tells them, through his sign language, everything that transpired, including the final fate of Vale. The masters of the Order are devastated by this news, as much as they are relieved that Vale succeeded in her quest, though seemingly at the cost of her own life. Cyrus nods at Thrag's story.
You did exactly what you were tasked to do, Thrag. You were with Vale at her side until the very end. And I have no doubt that she would thank you if she could. Do not despair, Thrag. Vale may not yet be dead. And if there is anyone I would trust to find their way back to us from such a terrible place, it is her. Perhaps one day we will see her again.
And perhaps we will. But it will not be in this season, for this season comes to a close. A bittersweet ending. Vale succeeded in the task she was given, but at great cost. Is she alive? Somewhere out there? Will she ever find her way back? That is not a question I will be able to answer for you, my friends. But it is a question perhaps for you to answer in your own campaigns of the Broken Empire's role-playing game, which, of course, is available at the link below. Thank you so much, my friends, for joining me on this very, very long journey. We got to the end together, and thank you for sticking it out. And we will see you next time on Me, Myself, and Die.